Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, this is Spiral Path Arts and I am Beth and we are in my guest room slash workroom and I'm going to start a new project. If you watched my last video, you saw my little pattern review of 2 patterns to make a new outfit, and one of the patterns, the top pattern, I don't know why I'm showing you this because this is not it, but the pattern I used for the top in that outfit was the Vista top by Twig and Tail. And I really liked it. I liked the way the pattern went together and I liked the way the pattern fit, and I wanted to make another one. The one I'm going to start today and share with you is the reason I bought the pattern in the first place, but I wanted to make a wearable muslin, if you will. So I used some fabric that I had around and constructed the first one, and I really liked it. But let me show you what I want to make this one out of, and that is this antique vintage tablecloth that I recently acquired. Where did I get this? Yard sale? Oh, I think I found this at Salvation Army. So it has this lovely pull thread type embroidery panels on it. It's very good size. This is cotton, not linen, and so there you go. It's oh, let's see, it's at least 6 feet tall, long, and probably 60 inches wide, plus maybe 72 inches wide. So lots of usable fabric, lots of different motifs that I want to see if I can incorporate into this design of this shirt. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm hoping that maybe I can use this lovely scalloped edge, hemmed edge, as the hem of the top, so I don't have to hem it. And it'll give it another pretty little detail. So that is the plan. Now I have this one that I really like, the embroidery pattern. But I also have this one, and this one is 100% linen. And I've had this one in my collection. I bought this at a church rummage sale probably close to 25, 30 years ago. And at the time I had a house with a formal dining room, and we would have family dinners and things. So I did use it a couple times as an actual tablecloth, but again, it's as wide as that one, tablecloth width. But you can see there's some yellow discoloration on it. And it's, I don't know if it's square or rectangle. I haven't had it pull out. I like that this one is linen versus it's a lighter weight linen than the cotton of the other one. But I feel like the print, not the print, but the embroidery design, can I show you there? It's a little more tableclothy, for lack of a better term. We have apples or peaches or some kind of fruit there, and somewhere on here I think there are, yeah, here. There are grape clusters, and I just kind of feel like maybe this one would look like I'm wearing grandma's tablecloth as opposed to the other one. I'm going to kind of play with the pattern pieces and the layout and see what I can figure out, because there were plus and minuses to both tablecloths. This one has a little bit more detail along the hem edge, which if I align the pattern up might work better. I do feel like maybe this one needs to have a little bit of OxyClean or peroxide or something to see if some of the old stains in it could come out before I start cutting it apart and sewing it together, repurposing it. So I think this one might wait for a future project, because I don't know that I need 2 shirts out of the same sewing pattern that would be very similar out of tablecloths. So there might be another repurposing video or project out of one of these. Or I could just keep it as a tablecloth, but I don't really live the lifestyle at the moment that I could use that as a tablecloth. But you never know. Anyhow, I'm going to get started and show you progress along the way. And if I have any special tips or tricks on laying out a pattern using something like this that you're not just going to, you know, lay out on the fold and cut it like the cutting diagram suggests, because you've got to account for the open work. You don't want open work, right, you know, where you're going to see through it. Or if you do want that lace there, maybe you need to interline it with a lightweight batiste or something. So I think I have decided as I'm talking that I'm going to use this one because the bits of open work, thread work, pulled thread work on this one are less and less see-through, less obvious. So we're going to see if it'll fit, if I can figure out how to cut it out on here. This pattern is lovely, but the sleeves take a lot of fabric because they're puffy. So that might be where I reach some challenges. So hopefully this will work out and I'll be able to get it going and show you my progress as I go along the way. I think it'll be a fun project. So let's get working. This is the original short sleeve pattern piece. I know it's white on white, but you can see here for the Vista blouse. And this is the one with the elasticized bottom, and so it's very puffy and very full. But trying to lay things out on this tablecloth, I really want to use the hem of the tablecloth for the bottom of the shirt, and I think I would like to do it for the bottom of the sleeves, because I don't want the sleeves to just be plain linen. So I need to straighten off the bottom of the sleeve and take away some of the puffiness. So I am redrafting, I hope, this pattern. So I put it on here and I drew the line that follows the curve of the top that will fit. So I know this will fit into the armhole when it is sewn because it's the same. But then I needed to kind of take away the flare and take away the curved hem. So I've straightened everything out. I'm hoping this will work. I am debating if I need to add just a little bit of a flare to the side of the underarm seam. Goes from the underarm to the wrist. Not the wrist, the elbow. So what I think I'm going to do is cut this out of some just old sheet or something and sew that up, do the easing stitches and hold it up to myself and see how it looks before I cut into my main fabric. So that is what I'm doing with the sleeve. And let me show you what I have decided to do with the body of the blouse. Okay, hopefully you can see this. So I have folded my tablecloth in half and found the center point of the motifs. So the fold is toward me here. And a tip I will give you if you're really wanting to be sure you get these motifs lined up somewhere on a piece is to take, say, your front piece here that's on the fold and trace it out on pattern paper or wrapping paper, whatever you have, old newsprint, something, and have a full piece rather than the half piece, especially if it's more like a tissue fabric or tissue paper, because you'll be able to see through it and see where your motifs, your embroidery is lining up. But I'm not taking the time to do that right at the moment. So I'm going to set the front aside because I don't have room on my table to give you both ends of this fabric. And I don't even know if you can see the end of this fabric from there. Okay. So what I'm doing, is trying to figure out my layout so that my embroidery motif is kind of like the center. I'm going to start with the back, kind of the center back, and that my bottom down here, this part with this pretty hem, is going to be my hem. Now, if I put this down there and line my hem of my pattern up with the hem of the tablecloth, then I end up with all of this here, which might make some of my seaming, especially my armhole seam, a little tricky. So I'm really I shouldn't start with the back. I should start with the front, because the front with the V-neck is where things get funky, okay? Because I have a dart, and sorry I have to have this reversed, but here's my dart. And if I line it up so the dart's like up here somewhere, well, then I'm darting into this embroidered fabric. I don't want that. I want my dart down here on the more solid fabric. I also don't want my neckline right along this embroidery line, but that is in a nice V shape. So I'm going to bring it up so at least I have some more solid fabric there without interfering with this dart. So I can feel that my dart is going to still be within the flat fabric. And then what I would do if I were ready to cut this is to take my ruler and measure from that hem edge, like either up to the bottom of the the original piece, and say that's 5 1/4. Now this fabric is the same on both sides because tablecloth. So I'm actually going to cut this out of the other end of it, but I'm just showing you how I'm going to line it up. It is 5 1/4 from the bottom hem. That will give me some of this motif at the neckline without it interfering with the dart. And my arm's eye doesn't really have a lot of embroidery. There's going to be a little bit there, but that's not going to interfere with inserting the sleeve. But obviously, I'm adding 5 1/2 inches onto the bottom of this blouse. So that makes this blouse like over 24 inches long. It's going to be more of a tunic than a blouse. Because of my body type, I think I will end up putting a little hem slit on the side seams rather than having it straight hemmed all the way around. But we'll try it on before we put the hem in and the full side seams, and we'll figure that out at the time. So now I'm going to, because this is actually what I want to cut, and I think I want to cut it. I'm very scared. So that would be my first cut. And then I will do the same with the front at the other end. Line the hem up 5 1/2 inches from the end of the hem, cut it out. And then we'll do sleeves out of a different fabric just to test the sleeves. Okay, here we go. Here we are lining up now the front of this pattern. And again, we were 5 1/2 from the hem. So I'm going to line that up 5 1/2, bring the bottom of the hem right there. Ooh, I'm going to just barely make it up here with when I laid it out the first time it worked. So now I'm down to 5 1/4 here. No, I'm not. I'm good. All right. It's just right up here. It's just like eking out. I could go to the other end of the fabric and the other end of the tablecloth and cut it from there, but I'm not going to. Now you have to remember, you're not cutting here because we're going to include all of this in the hem. So I'm going to start up here in the neckline, cut around. Okay, so here we are with the front and back pieces on the dressmaker's dummy. And you can see, now she needs to be pressed, but you can see how the motif lines up here across the chest. It's not going to interfere anywhere with too much with bra lines. You might see, you're going to see a strap through here and a little bra line, but I don't think it's going to be too revealing. You've got this pretty hem detail all the way around. And again, it's going to be more of a tunic than a top like the original pattern is drafted, but that's the beauty of finding a pattern you like, and then you can start making some modifications. We'll turn her around here. So there's going to be a little something going on here in the arm, underneath the arm. Ventilation is what we're going to call it. Summer day ventilation. But I'll do some stay stitching, so I don't think it's going to come unraveled. And this linen is so old and soft that it shouldn't be a problem. And I really like the back, and maybe that's because I used to be show horses, and as a kid, kind of reminds me of a classic Western shirt with the yoke detail without having to do a yoke. And then again, the same hem detail, and I believe they don't match up exactly, but we'll make them match up. Or if I do a little seam, a little side seam slit there, then it doesn't matter that it's just like a shirt tail hem that's just a little longer in back. It will be a design choice. Let's pretend it was chosen that way. So before I cut out my sleeves, I want to test my redrafted sleeve pattern on just a piece of old sheet or scrap fabric here and see if it's gonna fit and if it's gonna look right on the shirt before I cut it out. But so far, so good. I think this is going to be a cute little summer tunic. So here is my muslin, my just trial new pattern for the sleeve. And I just hemmed it. It's inside out, doesn't matter, it's a piece of sheet. To see how I liked it, I did do the easing, a one row of easing stitch along the top, just so it would sit here the way it's supposed to. Because I wanted to see how the hem was, etc. You know, if it needed to, I think it's, see how it, this is my issue. See how it's, I should pin it. Oh, see, every time I do that, I pull it down off of my shoulder. Grab a pin. Pin it through my shirt, not my shoulder if I can. There we go. Okay, now, so here, this is, see how it's a little, the hem of it isn't straight, and I have to decide if I mind that. And I don't think I do, but I could, where's my pattern piece? So I drafted it with just a straight hem across the bottom because it's going to have a straight hem across the bottom because I'm using the hem of the tablecloth. So there's not, I'm not going to be able to curve the bottom of this at all. So I had to make sure, one, that it was a large enough comfy sleeve. I didn't want it skin tight, and that it draped and came to where I wanted it to. I didn't want it short. I wanted kind of, but I also didn't want it somewhere in here, and I didn't want them long. So I think I found the right length, just past the elbow, so it's not dragging in the soup or getting in the dishwater or getting in my way, basically, when I'm working, and yet it's not cutting me across my biceps where I didn't want the extra width of the cutoff point. I think it's going to be flattering here and comfortable here. So we're going to go ahead with that pattern piece and cut out our two sleeves. Here's the part of the fabric that I'm going to cut the sleeves out of. So this is going to be the bottom, be at the hem of the sleeve. And then there is enough, there will not be any more embroidery motifs on the rest of the sleeve. It'll just be solid fabric, making inserting the armhole way easier. And you can see here I folded my sleeve pattern in half, so that's my center sleeve. This is going to line up with my shoulder seam, and this is the center. And I want that to line up with my motif. So what I've done is I have 2 layers here. I want to cut both sleeves at the same time, and I very, very carefully lined up the embroidery on top of each other. So they're lined up, they'll be identical, and pinned it. And I've measured between this little piece and this little piece, because this isn't a symmetrical pattern here. And that's 12 inches, so this pin is at 6 inches. So when I put that on, I'm going to line my center of my sleeve up with that pin, make sure it's straight of grain, and cut that out. Here we go. This is everything cut out except for the facings. Yeah, the facings. So let me show you here. And I just loosely pinned the sleeves on, but here's where the motifs are going to fall pretty much on the sleeves. I didn't put the easing stitch in. And if I stand next to Bertha here, she's about at where I am. So it's gonna be a mid-thigh tunic. So I do think some side slits are going to be necessary to give me range of motion and movement. So probably up to where the hemline would have been. There we go. We're ready to get started assembling this. Okay, other than cutting out the facing pieces, one is a bias piece strip of fabric and the other one is a V-shaped facing and then some interfacing in there. Other than that, she's all ready to get sewn together. And as this is not a sew along with me or a tutorial type video today, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that and bring her back for the reveal when it's done. How about that? But I'm so far really loving the flexibility of this pattern, that, you know, I can make different hemlines. I can turn it into a tunic. Really, if I had the right fabric, I could lengthen this to another, you know, 6-8 inches and make it into a really cute pullover dress. Maybe put a side zipper in it or something for ease of getting in, or split the back piece down the back and put a back zipper in if I wanted to make it into a longer linen dress, kind of a sheath dress kind of thing. Because I think there's enough, well, we'll find out once I get this done. Maybe we'd need to add a little bit of width in the hips, you know, through here to make it a dress. But so far, she's looking good. So the next time you see her, this blouse, this tunic, it should be on this body instead of my double Bertha. See you in a few minutes. I just shared my finished project with my sisters, and my one sister pointed out that, or asked to see how much of the tablecloth was left after making that top. And I said, oh, good point. And maybe y'all would want to know that too. So I got that entire tunic with 3/4 length sleeves or elbow length sleeves in, let's say, size 16-ish, give or take, out of a tablecloth. And I did not measure this tablecloth before I cut it apart. But I know it fit on my oblong dining table when I had at least 6 to 8 chairs on it. So, you know, it wasn't like a super duper 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 long, but it wasn't a square either. So anyway, here we go. This is how much, can you see it? This is how much I have left. So I have a full, like the narrower, well, no, it's not the width. This is the end of the tablecloth, which would be on the, no. Okay, I don't have one full corner to corner on any of the sides of this, but I have probably, because the front and backs of that tunic were cut from the middle motifs that went out to the side of the tablecloth, because I wanted the V and they were there. And I didn't want to cut it on bias to get the V's that are, you know, the corners here. So I still have lots left. So this is two pieces that are this size. I don't know if there's enough to make another top. kind of played around with it to see if I could make a skirt. I don't think I could, but just look at all the solid parts of this. And you can see that I have lots of beautiful linen that I can use for embroidery projects. There is a little bit of staining on this somewhere, but I think I could probably bleach it out. But it's also linen, 100% linen, so it would take dye or tea dye beautifully. So there, and then there's just so much of this part with the embroidery still on it that could be used for bags, journal covers, who knows, whatever my little creative mind comes up with next. So I'm really, really happy with this project. But if you were curious how much you can get out of an old tablecloth, that's your answer. So here it is finished, and I think this might be one of my favorite makes. I don't know of all time, but of recent history. I think it turned out super cute. I'm really glad that I decided to make it tunic length and keep the original hem to the tablecloth on it, and that I decided to modify the sleeve pattern a little bit so that I could also use the motif and the hem on the sleeves and not do the puffy hem, the puffy sleeves like the original pattern has. Now, if you're not comfortable, if you want to buy this pattern and you like this pattern, and I highly recommend this pattern. I love the way it goes together, and I love the way it fits, and I love that it's a very hackable pattern. But if you're not comfortable redrafting the sleeves to make them like this, like I said, there is an extension pack you can buy from Twig and Tail that has, I should have looked it up before I got on here, it's quite a variety of different sleeve designs that would go on this blouse. They also have another blouse, at least one, maybe two other blouse patterns that can also use that sleeve extension pack. So it's pretty versatile. And again, if you're not comfortable, you know, redrafting a pattern to change something like a sleeve design, that's an option for you. So as far as this pattern being hackable, again, we have the options for lots of sleeves. I also think this would be an easy pattern to just do a bias binding around the sleeve holes and have it be a sleeveless top. And I may do that. I wouldn't have done that with this because, as you can see, I have a little ventilation down here with where how the lace pattern continued, the lace motifs, which in an Alabama summer might be a nice thing to have. I am thinking that what I might do in the future is to make a dress out of this pattern, because I just love the way the top, the neckline, and the shoulders fit me. And everything, it just fits really well. It's going to be a go-to favorite. Anytime I get the right weight linen or cotton and I have enough of it, I'll probably whip up one of these shirts. This one especially, the alignment of all the motifs and cutting it out and planning the pattern took more time than the sewing. Especially on this one, the sewing, there were at least 2 or 3 or more steps that were eliminated by not having to put either the hem / casings in the bottom of the sleeves to add the elastic, and not having to hem the bottom of the shirt because it already had a hem. But on that note, I'm going to stand up so you won't see my head, but I'm going to show you something here. Because I made it tunic length, in order to be able to move and sit down and things, I needed to put these slits in the side. And originally I had them about 2 inches lower, you know, they didn't start until about here. And I tried it on and I was like, well, for moving around it would be fine, but for sitting it might have to bunch up a little bit to have room and not split the seam. And so I took them up higher. Now that I have it on, they probably could have stayed a little lower. I could have maybe split the difference and kept them where they were. But you'll also notice that the back, maybe if I can get in the right position, is just a skosh longer than the front. And for me, that's fine. If it were the other way around, it would have been a problem. But it kind of gives it a shirt tail hem look. And I think it's just, and that was just a layout on the fabric, measuring it. You know, the back should have gone up just about, it's not even a ½ inch when I was laying the fabric out on the pattern. And that's just a me mistake, but I don't think it was a deal breaker. So you can see maybe a little better here how those two bottom hems don't line up perfectly. Now, if I wasn't putting the slit in there, that might have been an issue. But the slit doesn't come all the way up to my waist, so I'm not showing, you know, anything. I think it works. Let me know down in the comments if you don't think it works. It's going to be very comfortable for wearing. And I'll mention the pants that I have underneath it. They're also linen. So with this top and the white pants and the pink peachy colored shirt that I have made, really added to my linen wardrobe, which is wonderful for summer. The pants that I'm wearing underneath this are also linen. They're a navy blue linen, and I made these years ago. And if I can find, I actually made these in a variety of fabrics. I have probably 3 pair at least of these. I don't remember the pattern name, but if when I'm editing, I have time to go look it up and see if I still own it, I will put that down here. I think it was like Sewing Workshop. Let's see if I was right. Anyway, I really like this pattern because it has a smooth front, you know, there's no fly front or pleats or anything. So it's a nice smooth front when you're wearing something like a tunic over it. So you don't have any bulk showing here. These actually have an invisible side zipper, this pattern, and I love an invisible zipper anyway. The back is also smooth for wearing under a tunic. So I really like this pattern. The only drawback to this pants pattern is it doesn't have any pockets. I do believe on one iteration of these I did put some bag pockets, but with the invisible zipper on the side, it makes putting a bag pocket in a little trickier. But you could always add, you know, patch pockets down on the leg. You could put patch pockets on the back. Anyway, I'm not talking about that pattern because I haven't made it in a decade. Probably, well, no, it's probably haven't been that long because it's not been that long since I had that job. But anyhow, I now have a another full linen outfit that I can wear. And I also think I could wear this with leggings or, I don't know if I'd wear it with a skirt because of the proportions of this coming mid-thigh. I don't think a skirt would look really cute. But as you can see, if I were to grade this out a little bit more A-line from about this point out, I could make and add 20 inches or so on the bottom. It could make a really, from this length, it would be more than that from the shirt length, but I could make a cute little kind of summer shift dress. That would be easy. Or cut it about here, which I think is about where the shirt, the straight hem on the shirt comes to approximately here, let's just say, and add a gathered skirt to it and have a dress. And then I would probably put the puff sleeves back on. Well, I hope you enjoyed this project. It was really fun to make, and again, another one of those almost zero cost, because I've had this in my collection for a while, this old tablecloth. But tablecloths like this are so easy to find at estate sales, thrift stores, a lot of different places to make some cute tops or skirts, or there's a lot of things you can repurpose this linen into. Now there's quite a, oh, I'm also dog sitting again this weekend. So here's Moritz again, coming to say hello. Hi Moritz, you're a cutie pie. I love you. Can you get off my footstool, please? See what your brother's doing. He's in trouble over there. Off. Moritz. No, I don't want black dog hair on my new white shirt. Thank you, baby. Okay, you can sit there, but you can't put your paws on me. Okay. He's a good boy. What was I saying? As far as finding used linen. Oh, yes. I have a lot of this tablecloth left, because there's a lot of yardage in tablecloths. If you can find 100% cotton, 100% linen, if you can find 100% linen, large tablecloths without a lot of motif on them, or like I did the white pants, a curtain panel, then there you go. You've got lots of usable fabric. My only tips, my main tip for finding tablecloths is to just, well, it goes for kind of any vintage fabric that you're finding. Make sure it has minimal staining on it. I got lucky. There's one tiny little dot of either rust or tomato sauce that I found when I was doing my final press. But it's on the back and it's on the lower half, and it's like literally that big. So I'm not going to worry about it, but I missed it when I was cutting, and I probably could have found a different place to cut that same piece without that little dot of spaghetti sauce. But it just speaks to the history of the fabric, and I like that too. It's a great way to make some really unique, one-of-a-kind clothing and reuse some fabric that's higher quality than you're probably going to find in the stores, unless you go very high-end, and very inexpensive. I feel like everybody's mother, grandmother, auntie has some of these in a cedar chest or a closet somewhere and aren't using them. Let's make something beautiful out of it and keep that fabric out of the landfills. Yeah, it's a win-win for everyone. So I hope you enjoyed this little project, and let me know down in the comments if you've made something, you know, out of repurposed fabric like this. And if you have any other tips and tricks for anybody else that's watching this and reading the comments. And we'll see you later. I think I might be... No, I'm not. I just have some other fabric coming in that was on clearance sale. So I'm not done making garments for the summer, but I do have some other projects I have to get to in the next few weeks. So I might be shifting slightly from garment sewing to other sewing, but we'll see. Okay? But thanks for being with me. I really appreciate it. Again, I'm Beth, and this is Spiral Path Arts, and I don't have a tagline anymore. Put that in the comments if you have a tagline for me. Peace out. Bye. Henry says, I'm a soccer ball now.